What's up, everybody? I wanted to go over the defensive approach in any of your tactical setup and pretty much related to the previous system, which was the constant pressure, pressure after possession loss, press on heavy touch, and then obviously balance, right? So this year it's a bit different, but it works out great in the sense that post-patch, with the spacing and everything being fixed, right? Even though there is a lot of pressure and it's actually good to apply pressure, you need to apply pressure in this meta, you also can work out of it with skill. And that's the whole thing. Previously, with the pressure system, it was broken along with the spacing and everything because your players were essentially man marked with nowhere to go, and obviously in the attacking, when you got closer to the opponent's goal, it got even worse because the defenders were so close together, and then the AI assistance defensively was so broken that combined with that pressure where every man was essentially covered, it just made for a terrible gaming experience. It was so unrealistic, but that is all fixed now, and if you don't apply pressure in the current, style of gameplay we have, you are just going to have the ball, kept from you the entire game. The opponent's going to be able to work it around until they, inevitably get chances and score goals. So pressure is definitely good, but it does come at a cost, right? Because your players will be pulled out of position. So you have to apply pressure, but you have to do it in a way where you're still keeping track of your players' positioning, right, and doing it in a smart way. If you just go haphazardly and start taking your players and running them all over the place, they are going to get burned without a doubt. So what is the perfect amount of pressure to apply, and which defensive approach is that tied to? Because remember, there is no separate area for, the constant pressure, pressure and heavy touch, all that. It is tied to your defensive approach. We're going to go over that now. So we will be starting with the high defensive approach, but before we do, I want to talk about drop back, which is your deepest, right? You do not want that setting. It can do nothing good for you. It's like 30 or whatever it is. You just want to ignore it because your players drop so far back that it can do nothing but hurt you. So we won't even go over it. What's the point? Now, balance, it's self-explanatory. That's when you have the defensive approach, the lines at 50, and that is when you want your players keeping in the shape of your formation, and any type of pressure being provided will be from you manually and the AI assistance that you utilize, right? So that absolutely can work without a doubt, but in this meta, I don't suggest it, and I will explain why as we go over the high and aggressive defensive approaches. So starting with the high defensive approach, what does it say? It says a riskier approach to defending, applying situational pressure, and adopting a high line that tends not to track opposition runs. So what does that mean? Automatic offside traps. 70 to 90 is considered a high defensive approach. It will hold that high line, and your defenders will not break that line to follow runs. They will hold it, let the opposition attackers run off sides. Now, situational pressure means that you will have, if you played FIFA previously, pressure that's between pressure on heavy touch and pressure after possession loss. It will kind of be between that setting. Your players will leave their positions just a bit and put just a bit of pressure on, but you will still have that high line, and obviously manually you can pressure the opposition as well. This is the most popular choice right now, is the high line at 70. Not any higher, not like 80, not like 90, even though you can go up to 90. It's 70 because there's still that little bit of pressure, but staying somewhat in your shape. And I strongly recommend you don't go below this. There's plenty of players that do choose balance. I would say only go balance right now if you are very good at applying manual pressure. Like many of the top pros, they go with balance, but that's because they can manually switch players like gods, and they can put pressure, like literally constant pressure on themselves. But for the rest of us human players out here, we need some AI assistance in our pressure, right? And then we will still be switching to the players and doing the work ourselves, but the players will at least be in that good starting position pressure-wise. No different than your player roles when you put it on, for instance, like get in behind, or now it's like attack or roaming or whatever. You're just getting some of that assisted movement when you're not on that player. That's all that is. As you know, in this patch, you are still doing the work yourself, but you have 11 players to control, right? You can only control one at a time. So as you're building the ball up and controlling one player, you're going to need your AI to be doing some work for you. Unless, like I said, you're the top 1% of players that can literally constantly switch players, fast enough and with enough quality to keep the fluidity of your build-up, right? For the rest of us, we need some assistance. That's what this 70 death will provide. However, in this meta, if you're playing the high line already and you're applying that pressure already, which is the best way to go about winning the ball back, you do not want to give your opponent time to get into your area and get into dangerous areas where they can create chances, right? And the best way to do that is with the pressure high up the pitch. That's why people go for 70. But I am going to tell you why going with the aggressive approach, which is 91 and above, is the best option. So the aggressive defensive approach, which is a line height of 91 and above. It says 95 on screen. It just defaults to that. It is 91 and above for the aggressive approach. And it says the most front-footed defensive approach, adopting a high line that focuses on applying press once the opponent makes a mistake and setting off side traps, uses more stamina. So again, this is between pressure after possession loss and constant pressure, right? You still have the offside trap, so it's no different than the high line approach. But an aggressive, it's just a lot more pressure on your opponent once you lose the ball. Simple as that. Now, there isn't an exact constant pressure, an exact pressure after possession loss, or pressure on heavy touch, like I said earlier. However, this is the closest thing to constant pressure, but in a revamped good way. And let me explain what I mean by that. For one, you lose stamina, yes, but it's not like it used to be where your players are totally drained. And the reason they did that is to try to contain how broken constant pressure was, but they couldn't. It was just so overpowered. This isn't like that. For one, you can manage the stamina loss with subs, so you'll still be fine there. And for two, it is not broken at all. With skill, an offense can get through this high amount of pressure. And to use it, you need skill as well. You can't just put it on aggressive approach and you'll automatically win the ball back. You have to be disciplined. You can't go diving in. You have to constantly switch players, right? This just gives you that good jump start. It will put your team on the front foot to provide the highest amount of pressure you can provide, which in this meta comes in handy because you want to rush your opponent's decisions. You do not want to give them time on the ball. The best defense is offense is this kind of approach, meaning the higher up the pitch you are, your opponent won't even get a chance to go at your defense, right? You will immediately try to win the ball back, and they will either get caught dribbling too much or get caught rushing a pass, make a bad decision, and will go to you. Now you're back on the attack. That's the whole point of this. So it's a skilled thing, both defensively, and then the attack will have to be skilled to beat it. All you're doing when you use the high line is the start of this. It's just you're making it easy on your opponent, or at least easier, I should say. Not easy, but easier. So go with aggressive. Try it out. It's 91 high line height and above, and in my opinion is the better version of the high line height, which is 70 to 90, 70 to 90, and I think you will see that is the best option. I noticed immediate improvements just because, like I said, you're controlling 11 players and it just puts them on the right path forward. It's similar to an offense going from like balance to counter. Counter just gives you that extra boost right off the bat of good attacking runs, and then you complete it with choosing the right passing option and manually tweaking the runs. It's the same type of concept, just defensively. So try it out. 91 line height and above, aggressive approach. It will help you win the ball back quicker up the pitch. It will put your opponent on the back foot instead of the front foot, and it will allow you to maintain the tempo of the game and be in the attacking area so you can get the lion's share of scoring chances and hopefully turn those into wins. That is all I have for you. Hopefully it helps. Leave in the comment section if you have any further questions or need any further explanation. But I hope this helps. I guarantee you, if you practice it, right, just like anything, it's not just going to, you go make it aggressive line height and boom, you see immediate results. You have to practice at it. But if you do, I'm confident you will see improvements in your game. So keep grinding. Keep having fun, and we will see you next time.